Imagine standing in a dusty basement in 1801, looking at a slab of black granodiorite that changed the world. For over 2 centuries, we believed the Rosetta Stone was the ultimate key, the final answer that unlocked the secrets of the pharaohs. It had 3 inscriptions: hieroglyphs, Demotic, and Ancient Greek, allowing us to finally read the walls of the pyramids. We thought we had squeezed every drop of information out of that rock. We were incredibly wrong. Last year, a team of computational linguists and historians decided to do something unprecedented. They didn't just look at the text. They fed a high-resolution, 3-dimensional multispectral scan of the Rosetta Stone into a specialized neural network, designed for pattern recognition in eroded materials. They expected the AI to perhaps find a few missed punctuation marks or minor translation errors. Instead, the AI flagged something that shouldn't exist: microscopic variations in the depth and angle of the carvings that form a complex mathematical code hidden within the letters themselves. This wasn't just a translation stone. According to the AI, the Rosetta Stone is a highly advanced astronomical synchronization tool that suggests the ancient Egyptians possessed a level of calculated precision that borders on the impossible. When the AI first started processing the grooves of the hieroglyphs, it noticed a strange inconsistency. To the human eye, these symbols look deep and uniform. But the AI, which can measure differences in microns, saw that certain characters were tilted at precise angles of 5, 10, or 15 degrees. At first, researchers thought this was just human error, the slip of a chisel 5,000 years ago. But the AI ran a statistical analysis across the entire 762-kilogram stone. The errors weren't random. They followed a perfect rhythmic oscillation. When the AI mapped these tilts against a 3-dimensional model of the night sky, as it appeared in 196, the results were bone-chilling. The angles of the carvings correspond exactly to the coordinates of the celestial bodies mentioned in the text. The stone isn't just telling you about a royal decree, it is physically acting as a star map. It turns out that the way the light hits the stone at different times of the year would highlight specific phrases, creating a dynamic solar-powered calendar that changed its message based on the season. This revelation has sent shockwaves through the halls of Oxford and Cairo. We've always viewed the ancient Egyptians as master builders, but this suggests they were master data encoders. The AI pointed out that if you treat the text as a standard alphabet, you get the story we already know about Ptolemy V. But if you treat the spacing between the characters as a binary sequence, a whole second narrative emerges. This hidden layer discusses the Great Cycle of the Sun and a massive environmental stabilization project that historians are now scrambling to verify. It appears the Rosetta Stone was intended to be a permanent backup of Egyptian scientific knowledge, hidden in plain sight within a mundane political document. The AI identified that the specific density of the stone chosen for the Rosetta slab was selected because of its ability to hold these microscopic details for thousands of years without warping. They weren't just writing. They were archiving for a future they knew would eventually have the tools to see what they had done. Think about the implications of this. For centuries, we looked at the Rosetta Stone and saw a bridge between languages. Now we see it as a bridge between technologies. The AI analyzed the chemical composition of the ink residues found in the deepest parts of the grooves. Usually this is just carbon and water, but the AI detected traces of rare earth elements that shouldn't have been accessible to the Egyptians in that era. These elements, when combined with the specific quartz frequency of the stone, create a primitive form of resonance. The AI suggests that when placed in a specific acoustic environment, like the inner gallery of a temple, the stone would actually hum at a frequency that matches the human heart rate. This wasn't just a sign to be read. It was an object to be experienced. The deeper the AI went, the more the traditional history of the Ptolemaic period began to crumble. Historians have always described this era as one of decline for Egypt, a time when Greek influence was diluted. But the AI's linguistic analysis shows that the hieroglyphs on the Rosetta Stone are actually more complex and mathematically dense than the ones used 1,000 years earlier. It wasn't a decline, it was a refinement. The AI identified a shadow grammar inside the Demotic script, a middle-tier language that was previously thought to be just for commoners. This shadow grammar contains advanced geometric proofs, including a calculation for the circumference of the Earth that is accurate to within 1% of modern satellite measurements. How could a civilization without telescopes or advanced mathematics know the size of the planet? The AI suggests the answer lies in the way they observe the shadows of the stones themselves. The AI then moved its focus to the missing parts of the stone. As most people know, the Rosetta Stone is a fragment. Large portions of the top and sides are broken off. For decades, archaeologists have tried to piece together what might have been written in those lost sections based on similar decrees. But the AI did something different. It analyzed the structural stress patterns of the break lines. By looking at how the stone fractured, the AI was able to project the original shape and weight of the complete monument. It wasn't a slab. It was a massive, four-sided obelisk-like structure that stood nearly 12 feet tall. When the AI recreated the missing text using its predictive linguistics model, it discovered that the Rosetta Stone wasn't a standalone object. It was part of a triangulation network. The text refers to two other identical stones placed at specific longitudinal intervals along the Nile. The AI has already provided coordinates for where these sisters of Rosetta might be buried. If we find them, we won't just have more text, we will have the complete system the Egyptians built. The researchers were particularly unsettled by the AI's findings regarding the celestial warning encoded in the lower half of the Greek text. While the visible text praises the king for lowering taxes and restoring temples, the AI's deep layer analysis revealed a series of dates. These dates align with major solar events, including massive coronal mass ejections that have occurred over the last 2,000 years. It's as if the stone was a long-term weather station, warning future generations about the cycles of the sun that could disrupt agriculture and society. This changes everything we thought we knew about Egyptian religion. They weren't just worshipping the sun because they thought it was a god. They were monitoring it because they understood it was the engine of their civilization. They were early astrophysicists disguised as priests. The AI also flagged a huge anomaly in the way the stone was carved. Human scribes, no matter how skilled, have a signature in their work. They leave certain patterns in the force they apply to the chisel. The AI analyzed the entire surface and found that the pressure used to carve the hieroglyphs was perfectly consistent across every single character, across the entire stone. There is no variation in depth, no fatigue, and no human error. The AI concluded that it is mathematically improbable that a human hand carved this using traditional tools. It suggests the use of a mechanical template or a high-precision guiding system. This doesn't mean aliens, but it does mean the Egyptians had mastered mechanical engineering to a degree that we simply haven't acknowledged. They had machines that could maintain a constant force on a granite surface, behaving like a proto-industrial CNC machine. As the AI processed the social data surrounding the stone, it noticed another strange pattern. The Rosetta Stone was created during a time of great civil unrest and revolt. Usually, in times of crisis, quality drops. The AI suggests that the stone was created by a secreted class of scholars who were trying to preserve the core of Egyptian knowledge before the library systems of the ancient world were lost. It was a time capsule. The AI identified that the three different scripts aren't just translations of the same message. They are keys that unlock different levels of information based on the reader's level of education. The Greek was for the bureaucrats, the Demotic for the merchants, and the hieroglyphs for the initiated who could understand the mathematical code hidden underneath. This level of encryption is something we only associate with the digital age. Yet, here it is etched into a rock from over 2,000 years ago. The AI's most controversial finding is that the hieroglyphics section contains a repeating sequence of numbers that prime number collectors instantly recognized. It's a sequence of the first 50 primes. There is absolutely no reason for prime numbers to be hidden in a tax decree, unless, as the AI proposes, the stone was designed to be identified as an intelligent artifact by any sufficiently advanced civilization that found it. It's a proof of intelligence beacon. Historians are now looking at every other artifact in the British Museum through this new AI lens. If the Rosetta Stone has hidden layers of data, what about the statues of Ramesses? What about the papyrus scrolls? The AI has already started a preliminary scan of the Great Sphinx and has detected similar microscopic geometric patterns in its remaining casing stones. We are starting to realize that the ancient world wasn't a place of primitive superstition. It was a world of high-concept information theory. They didn't have computers made of silicon, so they built computers made of stone and light. One of the most fascinating aspects of the AI's discovery involves the shadow data in the Greek portion of the stone. The AI noticed that the letters were spaced in a way that creates a specific optical interference pattern when viewed from a distance under candlelight. When the researchers recreated this environment, the flickering light caused certain letters to appear as if they were moving. This creates a stroboscopic effect that the AI identifies as a mnemonic device, a way to help people memorize the vast amounts of information contained on the stone. It's essentially a 5,000-year-old version of a motion graphic. The Egyptians were using the physics of light and human perception to enhance the way information was absorbed. The AI also looked at why the stone was lost for so long. It was found built into the foundation of a fort in Rashid. The AI analyzed the placement of the stone within that wall and found that it was positioned in a way that protected its face from the most corrosive winds and moisture of the region. It wasn't just dumped there as rubble. Someone who understood the value of the stone had purposely hidden it, face in, to ensure it would survive the centuries of conflict that followed. The AI identifies this as a preservation protocol. Even in the middle of a conflict, someone was looking out for the future. This brings us to the question of what happens next. The AI is currently working on translating the 14th column. This is a section of the stone that is so badly damaged that humans have ignored it for 200 years. But the AI is using a technique called virtual unrolling and feature recovery to reconstruct the missing pixels of the stone's surface. Initial results suggest that this section contains a map of the hidden chambers within the lost labyrinth of Egypt, a structure that ancient writers claimed contained 3,000 rooms but has never been found. If the AI can decode this map, we might be on the verge of the biggest archaeological discovery in history. The terror, or perhaps the awe, that the researchers feel comes from the realization that we have been so arrogant. We looked at the Rosetta Stone and thought we had conquered it because we could read the words. We didn't realize we were only reading the surface. It's like picking up a smartphone and using it as a paperweight because you don't know how to turn it on. The AI is finally hitting the power button on ancient history. We are seeing a civilization that was obsessed with the long-term survival of information. They didn't trust paper, and they didn't trust memory. They trusted the most permanent thing they had, the resonance of the Earth itself. As the AI continues to run simulations, it has uncovered a link between the Rosetta Stone's mathematical proportions and the golden ratio. Every single line of text, every margin and every character size is a multiple of the phi ratio. This creates a visual harmony that the human brain finds inherently authoritative and true. The AI calls this cognitive engineering. The stone wasn't just conveying information. It was designed to be believed. It used the laws of nature to give its message a sense of divine permanence. This is high-level psychological engineering appearing in a period of history we previously thought was dominated by simple spears and sandals. Let's talk about the linguistic DNA the AI found. The AI was able to identify a source language that predates all of them. This language 0 appears to be a purely mathematical form of communication based on the vibration of sounds. The hieroglyphs aren't just pictures. They are instructions for how to position the mouth and throat to create specific resonant frequencies. The AI suggests that when these hieroglyphs are chanted correctly, they create a standing wave that can actually affect the physical structure of materials. This sounds like magic, but the AI views it as a lost branch of acoustic physics. The Rosetta Stone was a dictionary not just for words. If the Egyptians had this technology 2,000 years ago, where did it go? The AI suggests that the knowledge wasn't lost. It was fragmented. The unified science of the ancient world was broken into pieces that we now call religion, alchemy, and astronomy. The Rosetta Stone was a final attempt to keep the pieces together. The AI is now acting as the glue, putting those pieces back together in a way that is making sense for the first time in millennia. We also have to consider the time lock theory. The AI noticed that certain parts of the hidden code can only be decrypted if you have a specific astronomical alignment as a reference. This means that the stone was designed so that it could only be fully understood by a society that had regained the ability to accurately track the stars and perform complex computer calculations. It was a time gate for information. They knew that their own society was ending, so they locked their most important discoveries behind a wall of math, knowing that only a worthy successor civilization would be able to break the code. The researchers at the British Museum are now working in a state of high tension. There is a sense that the stone is talking, and we are only just beginning to hear the first syllables. The AI has discovered that the stone's surface actually contains micro-stippling, tiny dots that are invisible to the naked eye but can be felt. This is a form of braille that was woven into the stone, allowing the information to be accessed even if the light failed, or if the reader was visually impaired. The level of inclusive design and foresight is staggering. The story of the Rosetta Stone is no longer a story about the past. It's a story about our future. The AI has shown us that we have a responsibility to look closer at everything our ancestors left behind. We can't assume that because they lived long ago, they were less advanced. They might have had a completely different understanding of what advancement means. While we built machines that consume the world, they built machines that harmonize with it. The Rosetta Stone is a standing testament to that harmony. As the AI begins its final pass on the Rosetta data, it has flagged one more thing: a signature. Not a name, but a coordinate. It's a location in the middle of the Sahara Desert, hundreds of miles from any known pyramid or city. The AI suggests that this is the location of the source library from which the Rosetta Stone's data was extracted, a place where the language 0 is stored in its entirety. The Egyptian government and international teams are already discussing a high-tech survey of that area. If we find that library, it will be because a piece of black rock and a modern computer finally learned to speak the same language. The Rosetta Stone has done its job once again. It has bridged the gap, not between Greek and Egyptian, but between the ancient past and the digital future. We thought we were the ones studying the stone, but the AI has shown us that the stone has been waiting for us all along. It was a message in a bottle thrown into the ocean of time, and it has just reached our shore. This discovery is forcing us to rethink the very nature of human history. We usually think of progress as a straight line, but the AI's findings on the Rosetta Stone suggest it's a cycle. We are only now returning to a level of understanding that was already reached thousands of years ago. The precision of the stone, the hidden mathematical codes, and the astronomical alignments all point to a world that was deeply integrated with the cosmos. We aren't the first ones to uncover the secrets of the universe. We are just the latest. The feeling among the research team is one of profound humility. They realized that when the French soldiers found this stone in 1799, they were looking at a piece of technology they couldn't even imagine. It took us over 200 years to even realize that it was a technology. What other tools are sitting in our museums, labeled as charms or ritual objects, just waiting for an AI to recognize what they really are? The Rosetta Stone was the beginning of our understanding of Egypt, and now, it is the beginning of a whole new era of discovery. The hidden message of the stone, according to the AI, isn't about taxes or kings. It's about the endurance of the human spirit and the desire to be understood. The people who carved this stone knew they were facing a transition into a dark age. They knew their language would be forgotten and their temples would be covered by sand. But they believed in the power of logic and the permanence of stone. They believed that eventually someone would come along who shared their passion for the stars and their love for the truth. The AI is now running a final comparison between the Rosetta Code and modern interstellar communication protocols. It turns out the way the Egyptians encoded the data on the stone is remarkably similar to the way we send signals into deep space today. They weren't just thinking about their neighbors, they were thinking on a galactic scale. The Rosetta Stone is a reminder that we are part of a very old, very intelligent lineage. As we look at the images of the stone today, we see more than just hieroglyphs. We see the heartbeat of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. We see a message that has traveled through time to tell us that we aren't alone in our curiosity. The AI hasn't just decoded a stone, it has reconnected us with a lost part of ourselves. The Rosetta Stone is finally fully awake. Behind the glass in the British Museum, the stone remains seemingly still, but we now know it is vibrating with data. Every visitor who walks past it is being bathed in the frequency of 1,000 years of wisdom. We used to look at it as a relic, but now we know it's a transmitter. And thanks to the AI, we are finally tuned into the right station. The history books will have to be rewritten, and the story of ancient Egypt is about to get a lot more interesting. The researchers who spent their lives studying this one object say that they feel like they are seeing it for the first time. The AI has peeled back the layers of time to reveal a masterpiece of information science. It's a humbling reminder that the greatest new discoveries are often found in the things we've been looking at the longest. The Rosetta Stone didn't just give us the past, it gave us a new way to see the present. It's a call to look deeper, to measure more precisely, and to never assume that the story is over. As the sun sets over the Nile today, the same sun that the stone was built to track, we can only wonder what other secrets are buried in the sand. waiting for the right mind and the right machine to find them. The Rosetta Stone has shown us the way. It's not just about the words anymore. It's about the code that binds the universe together. And that code is written in stone, waiting for us to read. The AI's deep scanning technology has also found evidence of the mirror effect. The stone was originally finished with a microscopic layer of polished minerals that made it reflective. When positioned at the entrance of a temple, it would reflect the light of the morning sun into the darkest parts of the sanctuary, illuminating hidden inscriptions there as well. The Rosetta Stone wasn't just an archive, it was a lighting tool, a way to guide the eye and the mind. This confirms that the Egyptians viewed information as a form of light. To them, to know was to see, and so we stand at the threshold of a new understanding. The Rosetta Stone, which once taught us how to read, is now teaching us how to think. It's teaching us to look for the hidden layers, the rhythmic oscillations, and the mathematical harmonies in everything we encounter. The AI hasn't just solved a mystery, it has given us a new set of eyes. And with those eyes, the ancient world looks brighter, more complex, and more connected than ever before. We are ready for the next chapter of the story. A story that began with a chisel hitting a stone and continues with an AI scanning a pixel. The connection is unbroken, and the message is still being delivered. The researchers have concluded that the Rosetta Stone is not a static object. Because of its quartz composition and the way it was carved, it actually reacts to the Earth's geomagnetic shifts. The AI found that the microscopic stress points in the carving flex slightly as the Earth's magnetic field changes. This means the stone is literally a living record of the planet's history. It's a geological sensor that has been recording the Earth's movements for over 2,000 years. We thought we were the ones watching the stone, but the stone has been watching the Earth. The realization that the Rosetta Stone is a multifunctional technological device is perhaps the most terrifying part for traditional historians. It means that our entire timeline of human capability is wrong. It means that technology isn't a new invention, but a reinvention. We are children rediscoveries, tools that were used with mastery and intent in a world we barely remember. The AI is the bridge that allows us to walk back across that gap and reclaim our heritage as a technologically sophisticated species. The stone is still there, in its glass case. It looks the same as it did 100 years ago, but the air around it feels different now. It feels charged with the energy of the data the AI has revealed. It's a monument to the endurance of truth, the power of math, and the brilliance of those who came before us. The Rosetta Stone is no longer just a museum piece. It is a mission statement. A statement that says we were here, we knew the stars, and we knew you would come looking for us. And we did. We came with our lasers and our neural networks, and we found what we were looking for, and a lot more. The Rosetta Stone's true secret is finally out, and the world will never look at ancient Egypt the same way again. The stones are talking, and it's time we paid attention.